Smash Factor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. Man, that is beyond long.
Look at this. He's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to the Smash Factor. 2023 Ryder Cup is upon us. It is Wednesday, early evening. Wanted to try to get this out a little bit earlier today, but real life got in the way. So busy over there, which is good, but ready to rock and roll with this. We still got plenty of time. It does lock tomorrow at, I believe, 1:30 Eastern in the morning. So Friday morning, late Thursday night, however you want to look at it. What would that be? It's 1 to 12, so 10:30 evening Pacific time for Cali people out there. So still plenty of time. This will be probably out 7 o'clock or so tonight on Wednesday. So you'll have all day tomorrow to look at it. A lot of, guessing and stuff like that, but I did want to hit on a few things until we see the first pairings Friday. There's just a lot of, what ifs, go through scenarios. How would you attack this and that? But we did kill the Ryder Cup, 2 years ago, 2021, I won 5 figures. I won just under $20,000. I won the $200 single entry that year. I was second in the $44, seventh in the big MME. It was a $10 that year. I think this year's is a $20, but, so we had a great year, with just a few, I used the tool, we'll get into that here in a little bit, that helped go through scenarios and stuff like that. Most people I know we talk to, though, they're really just going to do probably a bullet 3 max. You'll have some out there that MME this, try to get every scenario and all that. I would probably say not a week you want to be underweight to the field on lineups. But you can still get through it. I think if you have especially if you think you're in the minority of how you think things play out, you may only need to put, and you're just going with one script, basically. You could put 30 lineups in the 150 max, I don't, $15 or $20, whatever it is, 200K up top, and compete, because there's only so many combos and stuff like that. There's obviously, you can do all the combos in the world, but if you hit your script and your core is good, you may not need 150. So up to you. Many different ways to go about it. I hadn't really fully decided how I'm going to do it yet. I'll be looking at that later on tonight and kind of see how the contests are going. And I don't really care about overlay and all that, but more so how I feel I want, my pool to look and how I'm compared to what the industry and stuff are, basically listening to things tonight. Other podcasts are out there. There's not a lot of coverage, but enough to kind of gauge that, I'm so excited for it. Did well in the President's Cup last year, a little bit different format, Presidents to Ryder, not a lot. Biggest difference being, for the most part, competitiveness between the two, right? USA tends to dominate in the President's Cup. This is always close, for the most part, no matter where it is. Obviously, Euro was won in Euro, whatever, 3 decades now, they've said. But, last year hitting the lower pieces of the President's Cup, like the Tom Kims and stuff, were a key. So these formats have done us well, especially the members. They get the tool that I built. I built a custom tool back in 2019, I believe, which was the first year DK made this format. And it really just helps you, if you want to visualize. Some people aren't going to go this deep into it, but for those that want it on the site, it's there. It lets you go through any scenario you want. It doesn't have to be exact, but you can kind of go, all right, what if this guy plays 5 matches and he wins 4 and loses 1 with his price tag versus player B, who only gets to play 4, but he goes 4-0 or something like that. I mean, there's many different ways you can go about it. It's really simple. It's built where you only have a few things to enter and it does all the work for you. So a plus, if you want to check out the site this week, you can. A 7-day free trial, as always. We will be rolling out huge updates to the golf dashboard come January. Looking forward to all those. We've already started prep work on that. College football has been smashing over on the site, DraftKings and betting. NFL's been doing good. Ryan's taking care of all the showdowns this year again. Had some great write-ups over there. Been close on several showdowns, especially NFL. So, it's tough to hit it all. But, NFL's coverage over there. Betting last week was my first losing week on NFL betting of the year. So we're looking for a bounce-back week there. But all that's included, all sports that we cover, NFL, PGA, college football. Come check all that out. One price. Again, 7-day free trial. So if you want to check it out just for the Ryder Cup this week, go ahead, come at it, come have some fun. You get some college football in there as well. Pretty good weekend coming up for that. A lot of slates starting with, I think there's a Thursday slate. Thursday and Friday slate, and then the big Saturday slate. So, been crushing over there with Mr. Bobby Burger per usual. Course, you can get it on the site if you want. Kenny Kim's got a pod out. Haven't listened to it yet with Mr. Tambo. He goes into some course stuff there, and he put his full article out on the website. Over in Rome, Italy this year. So a 7-hour difference, I think, from my time zone, which is Central Time Zone. So a little bit different there. We'll be watching, kind of overnight. It's kind of like a British Open per se. I think Saturday night they start. So the final day starts a little later. I think it doesn't start till like 4:30 or 5:30 my time, so that won't be as bad. Basically what I've read, I don't factor the course a whole lot, just because match play is totally different. Not only match play, but this kind of format. It's more about you versus your guys, and you may do something different just because your competitor got in trouble, stuff like that. But there are some things, fairways are tight. Rough, it looks like you could see a potential 2-layer setup. I've seen a lot of things on Twitter about that, where they don't penalize you maybe in the first layer of rough, and it's still a little bit of a penalty, but not horrible. But if you spray it way bad, you really get in trouble. So maybe that hurts the guys that really get wild off the tee. There's lots of water. Seen and heard several, comps to Florida courses. I go to PGA National a lot, the Honda Classic or whatever it's going to be called this year. Heard that comp. So, all those courses in Florida have a ton of water. So you could think that if you want to go look at how people have done there. Again, this is more about, to me, I'll fine tune some model stuff and look at overall things, but I don't factor a lot of that in, because at the end of the day, step one is who plays Friday morning, because those are the only guys that have the potential to get all 5 matches. And then you also, with that step, where do you think people can overreact or underreact, and how can you take leverage of that? Much more of a game theory week than it is really about. Now, again, you still have to have a script, and who do you think does well? And based on who's going out Friday morning, who do you think really has a good shot at getting at least 4, if not 5 matches? All that matters. And you still have to kind of want to predict who does well. But I'm not, does well to me is an anecdotal thing this week versus stats and models and all that. Off the tee putting, that kind of stuff's always important to me. Alternate shot's going to be huge. So I like to see who's starting there on that week on Friday morning. All that stuff matters. But at the end of the day, it really, leverage to me is the biggest thing this week. We'll get into how, so when I won the 20K 2 years ago, a lot of people went Morikawa in as a cheap guy in the captain. And in my single entry especially, but also some of the ones that I finished up in the top 20 in that big $10, I had DJ as a captain. Mainly not because I thought he would be the only one, which he wound up being the only guy getting 5 matches. We'll get to that in a second, but it was more, I knew that would be a little bit different and get me on different builds than Morikawa captain. If that was the team we thought could be together. And I also thought, well, maybe they switch up DJ. It wasn't probably the first time it was the first time he ever played with Morikawa in there. Didn't know if they play all 4 or not, but I was thinking if one of those two were going to play 5, I leaned DJ at that time. So that one move, especially in the single entry, kind of helped, put it all together. Those are the kind of things I'll look for, and definitely I'll have all my final thoughts, my projected, once we get those things tomorrow out, the Friday morning pairings and stuff, I'll go through and put my final article out that lays out my, basically all the strategy I have. And then it comes down to where do you want to make your moves and pivots and your gut instinct on, who can do well and get the most matches in. Just notes here. Tuesday press conference setups. You can pay attention to all this one. All this will be on the site in details if you want to refer back to it if you are a member. But Cantley, Spieth, X, JT, went out press conference together. Fowler, Morikawa, Homa, Clark was in a press conference together. Scheffler, Brooks, Burns, and Harmon were in the same setting together. Euro, they did 6 and 6. Rahm, Hovland, Fleetwood, Aberg, Lowry, Straka, Rory, Fitz, Hatton, Højgaard, Bobby Mack, and Rose. Practice round so far. Tuesday, Euro, Rory, Lowry, Fleetwood, and Straka went out. Rahm, Hovland, Hatton, and Aberg went out. Fitz, Rose, Bobby Mack, and Højgaard went out. USA on Tuesday, Spieth, JT, Cantley, X. That's no shock. Morikawa, Homa, Harmon, Fowler. Not really a shock to me on most of that. Scheffler, Burns, Brooks, and Clark. Wednesday practices, Euro, Rory, Fitz, Rose, and Højgaard went out. Hatton, Aberg, Bobby Mack, and Lowry. And then Hovland, Rahm, Straka, Fleetwood was the last group together. USA, Clark, Homa, Harmon, Fowler, Spieth, JT, Morikawa, Burns, Scheffler, Brooks, Cantley, X. Not a whole lot there. I mean, Cantley and X seems like a odds on to play together. Don't know if they play 5, but I think they play everything together. They've always done that. JT, Spieth, if there was one they start together Friday and then mix it up based on how things go, I could see that. I'm interested to see if we see Scheffler, Brooks coming together. They did play. They were in the same foursome Tuesday and Wednesday, and I believe, and they were in the presser together. So do they try to pair up like a mini power team there? That's interesting. The Euro side's a little bit tougher to figure out. I think they could go many different ways. To me, it's more about who the big boys get paired up with, and we'll touch on that a little bit in some of the strategy type stuff. I don't take a lot of it. It's just more things that kind of go, all right, if things shake out, this and that. Really what I do is I use that information to run through many scenarios using that tool that I built and then kind of see what pops in the kind of the final scoring that it automatically predict, or it doesn't predict. It shows you what the scoring will look like based on how you view the pairings going out. You know, it looks like it is going to be foursome, alternate shot Friday morning, and then 4-ball, which is best ball, Friday afternoon. Then Saturday, they will do the same. I don't know if they do the same rotation or if they switch it, but it'll be a foursome and then a 4-ball. You'll have 4 teams each day or each session. And then day 3, Sunday, 12 single matches. So everybody's guaranteed at least one match if you aren't familiar with this or you're new to kind of the golf setup. You don't have to have one from each team, so that is different. And I would pay attention to that depending on if you are using a optimizer, a builder, lineup builder, and all that kind of stuff, because most are programmed like because it's a captain format. So just like NFL, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, where the captain cost 1.5x, but you get 1.5x the points. So if he's $10,000 base price, he'll be $10,005 for the captain. If he scores 100 points, you get 150 points for the captain. But in NFL or even college football or anything like that, you have to have at least one player from the opposite team. DraftKings didn't do this with the Cup. In the Green Machine that we use, we programmed it 2 years ago to allow 6 USA or 6 Euros. Is it likely that a 6-man, march happens? Probably not. I mean, very unlikely. But it's at least there, but if you think it's an onslaught and maybe, just a drumming and you want that, you can. Or if you're hand building, you just have the option to do that. They don't restrict you like they do in football. Like I mentioned, pairings will be out tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday, sometime between, it looks like 10 and 11:30 Eastern, based on the opening ceremonies and all that. We'll have the pairings. Goes without saying, a lot of speculation until we see the pairings. But even then, there'll still be a lot of unknown. And writing a script for different scenarios and all that will be key if you're multi-building. If you're building one, then really you can use that tool to kind of gauge in on the one you think's the most achievable outcome, and then kind of see what lineup with the tool gives you the optimal, within salary. Things I'm looking for, any surprises to the expected teams. Does JT and Spieth go out together? We all think they will. Will they go out first? Do they sit one of them? Do they sit both of them and hold them back? I doubt that. But Cantley and X, are they going to break them up? I doubt it. Do we see a Brooks Scheffler out the gate? That probably changes some speculation and thinking. Big to me is going to be what do they do with Rahm, Hovland, Rory. Perception probably is those guys play all 5, but I'll get to the 2018 and 2021 notes here in a second. But I want to see who they're paired up with. Not so much to see that, but also because I think immediately you could see where some chalk could go. At least in the industry, I think a lot of people are on Euro. Although I think most people think the current line is probably a better line for the USA, but Euro's won 30 straight years or whatever, in Euro. So I think you could see some chalk with, let's say Rahm's paired up with, let me get back to the Aberg, well, $6,400 base, which whatever that is, captain, maybe he becomes, Aberg may play all with Rahm. And if they do well, man, I can fit a lot of pieces in. I think you could see some good leverage points there based on who those 3 are paired up. What if they pull Rahm and Rory together, Rahm and Hovland together, and you get a little bit of power team similar to you see Scheffler and Brooks? Those will change aspects. So I don't try to get all locked into anything. I'm more absorb everything I can. I listen to whatever I can. I have the tool, ran through many scenarios, and then getting those pairings tomorrow morning, which will be about 15, 16 hours from now, will really help things. And that's when I'll put out, probably within 3 hours of that, I'll put out my final stuff based on, with those pairings out, what I project, who I project to get as many matches and all that kind of stuff. I think that's huge. I don't think you have to, like I said, I don't think you have to play the cheaper guy at captain in all scenarios. It certainly worked out in my favor 2 years ago. I do think what if all the high price guys are the ones that do the best? Well, you can't fit them all in your lineup anyway. So maybe you do need a middle or lower. I would just be cognizant of how you build that, because that could wind up being, somewhat popular. Whereas if you think you got a good, line on a cheaper guy, how do you build differently? JT, for instance, if he goes out Friday morning with Spieth, as we expect, at $6,800, he might be a little bit chalky. What if Clark gets one of the first 4 pairings, $5,800? Could you put him in the captain and hope he gets, 4 matches or something like that? I don't know that. I don't know that a 4-0 could beat a 4-1. Now, total scoring and the way the lineup comes out, I have done some scenarios where it'll happen, meaning you can bet the guys, so what is it, 8 guys out there Friday morning I guess 16 guys total, 8 from each side. Majority of the captain ownership will come from that, like a lot of it, because those are the ones that have a chance at 5. If you thought, and this would probably be more for MME, if you thought, let's just say Brooks doesn't go out, but we're maybe anticipating him going out with Scheffler in the PM, just whatever, just shits and giggles type of deal. If you have that type of instinct, putting him in captain, now, again, he does have to play all 4 at that point. There's no way a dude playing 3 matches, but he does well, and at his price, maybe it pays off. I'm not saying it will. That's more of an MME flyer type situation, but it could happen. More likely than not, and I have this noted in myself, you probably want your captain to be out of those 16 guys. It's probably going to be very rare that one of those 16 doesn't do well enough to pay off for captain, assuming not all of them are going to play 5 matches, but the ones you think are going to play 5 matches. So we'll kind of get into that. So in 2018, only two USA guys played 5 matches, JT and Spieth. 3 Euros played all 5. So only 5 guys, and out of the 16 that started in 2018, played all 5. And that was Rory, Molinari, and Fleetwood. That year it paid off because Molinari and Fleetwood were cheaper. They played all 5. They won all 5, that type of deal. But again, only 5 did all 5. 4 from USA played 4 matches. 3 Euros played 4. 5 USA played 3. 5 Euros played 3 matches. 1 USA played 2, which was Lefty, and 1 Euro played 2, which was Olsen. 2021, a little more, only 1 USA player played all 5, DJ, right? So they switched it up. Everybody thought Cantley and Xander was going to go all 5. They didn't. They set one session. They still did well, but they only played 4. 6 USA played 4, and 5 of them played 3. So in 2021, at least every player got to play 3 matches, which we didn't see that, in 2018. On the Euro side, now 2 guys played 5 matches instead of 3. It was Rom and Hovland, and some would argue, everybody would argue Hovland is much better than he is today. 4 played 4 and 6 played 3. So again, just like USA, everybody played at least 3 matches in 2021. Do we see that again? Don't know. Do we see only, so what was it? 3 guys played 5 matches. If we see something that few, that really mixes things up and can change things. You had to have DJ and captain to really ship big stuff that year, because there was only one USA guy that did it. So, and they won obviously, and DJ went 5-0. But those scenarios are things you got to work through. If you think there's fewer guys that play captain or play all 5 matches, you're on the 3 to 4 guys side versus 6 or 7. I think there's a lot of people that think Rom, Rory, and Hovland for sure, and then, maybe even one more Euro because they're kind of weaker at the bottom, quote unquote. Xander and X, JT Spieth have a potential. All those do, but I kind of lean towards we'll see no more than 6, and I think it's 3 to 5 out of both teams combined that play all 5 matches. So I would kind of work that into your scenarios. If you're using a tool from the site, that's easy to do. I think you can kind of go through many different ways about that. I think pricing's tight, for the most part. There are some cheap guys down there. I wouldn't get too cute with it. You still got to have conviction that the guys that you're going cheap on and punting with are going to get have a good chance at 3, and then you want the guys that have a good chance at 3 and score well, to be your cheap guys. If you think a guy that's super, down there in that bottom 8 guys has a chance at 4, that really gives a good value. For those guys to get 4 is going to be great. Even if they go 2-2, in most cases, a 2-2 is going to outscore a 3-0 guy, unless you get some kind of, stomping in there, a 9-8 type match or something like that. But, those are things you can work through. Like I said, I see 6 guys max getting 5 matches from both. I lean more towards 3 to 5, just seeing what we've seen before. If we get a surprise Friday morning, you got to be prepared to adapt to that. But we're still going to, Thursday morning we'll get the results, but you still have 12 to 14 hours to kind of build and think through what those pairings look like. More than anything, I'm going to use that time for, okay, how's everybody else going to react? If we get some kind of surprise, someone we didn't think was even going to go out that morning, what is that going to put people on? And you could even use a tool to go, okay, I'm not going to build like this, but I want to see if everybody goes, this guy who's cheap, who's now, could gain steam, what do those builds look like so I can try to be different a little bit? And then I think the other deal was a strategy I used, and it paid off for the most part, was, is there a guy that isn't in that 16, the initial 16, that you think can go out and has a chance at 4 matches still? Because you're going to get good ownership on those guys, especially cheaper guys. But, if one of these semi-big boys, call it right there in that middle area, the Homa, the Hatton, maybe Spieth, Fitz, Xander. We're not Xander. We know he's going to play at least 4. But Fleetwood, one of those guys that don't play in the opening 16 guys or, the 4 matches that you think has a better than whatever chance to get 4 matches, you probably can get good leverage on the field, because a lot of people are going to build with those 16, leaving those other 8 guys, 4 from each side, a lot less owned outside of the cheap guys. So that's something to think about. I'll cover all that in depth on the site tomorrow when I do my final thoughts. Give you all plenty of time tomorrow night before lock and all that. Again, it'll lock about 1:30 Eastern time, 12:30 my time, Friday morning, late Thursday night, however you want to look at it. Betting is always brought to you by Underdog and Price Picks. Links in the description. $1 for $1 match up to $100. Use the code GUP. Been doing all the Price Picks and stuff like that. Underdog, we've done a bunch of best balls. Went through that. Love both those sites. Price Picks I put out there for NFL. We even talk about in college football. People ask Bobby his opinion on some Price Picks, stuff like that. So it's a good to be a part of that. And you can get $1 for $1 match up to $100 with that link and use the code GUP. Bets that I'm leaning right now, I tend to wait on most of this stuff until we see the pairings. If you are confident in something that you think will change significantly once the pairings are out, I would go ahead and try to bet that in. But otherwise, I tend to want to see who's going to go out Friday for some of these bets. I'm leaning betting the USA. I've seen it as low as minus 110. That's my lean to bet. I think that values come back to the USA now. I kind of like Cantley or X over 2.5 points. They were both plus money, depending on the market you look at. You maybe go both if you think they really play well together this year. But I may take one of those, whichever I feel. I lean Cantley a little bit. You probably, if you're leaning one or the other, it's going to be who do you think does better in individual, assuming they play all the sessions together, whether it be 3 or 4, and then they're individual. I kind of like Burns over Aberg, plus 105. My only hesitancy there is I want to see if they put Burns with, we assume Burns and Scheffler would go together Friday morning, but what if they put Brooks and Scheffler? Is Burns sitting? Is Aberg sitting? I mean, that's just one that sticks out to me based on what we see. That's one I definitely will wait on matchup. I'm not in a hurry to bet it, but one that kind of sticks out to me to see how they're placed Friday morning, if they're placed at all. Top USA, I kind of like Brooks plus 700, JT plus 1100. Those are outsiders. I would want to see them in that morning. I think JT will be there with Spieth. Doesn't mean he's guaranteed to play all of it. If I see Brooks with Scheffler, it probably makes me like it more. But I think that number comes down. So if you feel more strong than not, tonight or in the morning before things get released, that Brooks does go out Friday morning, I'd probably pick it before that gets released. Because if he's out with Scheffler Friday morning, that 7-1 to be top scorer definitely comes down. Top Euro, I kind of like Fitz if I see him out Friday morning. If not, maybe Hatton. Hatton 7-1. Fitz was 11-1. I don't mind, I think Hatton goes out Friday morning, and I don't think that number changes a whole lot. I think that's kind of built in already. Those are 2 guys I got my eye on. I like day 1 winner USA plus 110, day 3 winner USA plus 100. Either one of those or both. I feel stronger about day 3. I think they win the individual matchups. I think they're stronger top to bottom. A little bit of risk there because if they're out of it or whatever, but I don't see many scenarios where either team is just like completely dead going into Sunday. So I think USA wins the individual matchups. It may not mean they're winning it all. They could be down, but I think they win Sunday. And my one predicted score bet that I like right now, USA 16-12 final score that pays 14-1. So just quick overview right there. Go through some of my thoughts. You want to come join the site. It's free. You can do it for a whole week for free. You won't get charged. You can cancel anytime in those 7 days. You never see a charge. Good week on a unique week like this to come check it out. Play some college football. Bobby will have articles out for Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. We'll have the NFL out for Thursday, Sunday, Sunday night, Monday night, all that stuff. Plus, I'll have all the golf coverage. In 2021, they did Showdown for Ryder Cup. We'll see if they do that again. I was reviewing my notes. If they do that, especially, I think they did it just for Sunday when the 12 matches. So if they do that, I'll have that covered as well and put that article out. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Wednesday night. Sorry, confused on the date. And premium members, I'll have all the stuff out tomorrow and plenty of time before lock and answering questions for you guys as well. All the NFL stuff will come out per usual tonight and tomorrow. And as we roll into week 3 of the NFL, week 4, week 3, week 4 of the NFL. So crazy right now. Busy 7 days a week nonstop, but appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you soon.